Yetta, I think I have cabin fever.
It is easy to catch this time of year.
Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward together with the Dekker Team.
Welcome to another episode of Life's Inside Track. I'm Yetta Dekker.
And I'm Ken Dekker.
And it's where we get to share techniques, thoughts, tips, tools, and some tactics that we all need, we all deserve, you, I, everyone, so we can turn our house into home, our families thrive, and we live the best life possible. We're going to consider in this episode, how do you protect yourself even if you get cabin fever? How do you protect yourself from you when you experience cabin fever?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, what is cabin fever? It's kind of ominous. It's like you get this antsiness and I want to go buy a new car or I want to go buy a new house or I need to get out of the house. And I think cabin fever was originally talked about in a ship because you'd be in a small cabin, you'd be on a ship for a long time and you get cabin fever.
Right.
But with our long winters.
Right. Some people do experience for real cabin fever. There's more people out looking at real estate as soon as the snow starts to melt and the sun days get like the sun in the day gets a little longer. There's a lot of people that go open housing it and go looking, and we're back to doing a fair number of open houses. Maybe not what it used to be like, but there's still a fair number out there. So a lot of people will go out looking, and often as realtors, we would refer to many of the people out during spring cabin fever, as tire kickers, because they were really just needing to get out and see stuff. And so the first step to protect yourself is to decide if it's for real or if it's just an experience you've had because you haven't maybe been outside playing in the snow enough, haven't taken a vacation, or maybe it's just too many hours inside, even if you've got some great outdoor activities. So first determine, is this cabin fever a for real experience? Meaning it feels real.
It always feels real.
It always feels equally as real. And does your house still suit you? Or did you become clear because you had more proximity in a tighter space for a period?
Yeah, and I think it's some of the ways to figure that out is like I love going for maple syrup farms, right? You go to the farm, you walk around, you watch them boiling sap, they make you some sugar taffy, you get out in the fresh air. And for me, that's one way of starting to alleviate spring cabin fever. Now, the question that you posed was, is the cabin fever just because you've been inside too long, or is it because underneath, and you got to dig deep a little bit to figure this out, because sometimes there's something that's bugging you about your home you're living in, whether you're renting or you're owning. Is there something that isn't working the best in the home you're in? Maybe it's too small. Maybe it's too large.
And maybe it's too far into the country and you realize that you really do want to be on a city bus service. Or maybe you don't want to be on a city bus service and you want to have the quiet and greater number of birds and more enjoyment of the great outdoors. And so really, I think cabin fever gives us potential access to see the truth of what's already going on.
Right. And maybe it's too expensive to maintain it. It's too large. It's too much electricity, too much taxes, too much gas prices. All of those have gone up
significantly.
So it's that realization, oh, maybe this is preventing me from doing some other things in my life that I would like to do.
Right. And so a great process to sort of look at the pro-con list again is if we go back to some of our other Life's Inside Track episodes, pull out some Post-it notes. You each get Post-it notes. If there's 2 of you that own or 3 of you that own the property, or even that would be making the decision, because if you're renting, you're not owning now, but still it takes effort to make the right decision to discover whether it's really cabin fever or whether it's intrinsic things that just don't serve you anymore, even though they used to. And so doing the whole Post-it system just really is a pro-con list, but you do it independently. And I encourage you to go back and watch the step-by-step of that, because we don't want you to make a decision to move if it was nothing more then you were in the house too much this winter.
Yeah, you got to make the right decision. And if it is the house isn't working, then the next step, especially if you own, if you already own, then you need some information, right? Because information helps you make a wise decision.
Right.
And one of those things is, okay, well, how much equity do I have? And we did a show on equity as well. But the short answer is equity is determined by what your property is worth minus what you owe on it and what it would cost to liquidate it in either commissions or penalties for discharging the mortgage. So the value of your property, we can help there.
Right.
Figuring out what you owe exactly, you might have a mortgage statement or whatever, but if you want to know what your penalty would be, you need to call your lender. And also, you might even find out that, hey, you know what? I can port my mortgage at the current interest rate is at. I'm allowed to take it and increase and blend if I'm upgrading, or maybe just take it to another property. If you have a lot of equity, they might say, it's okay. You don't need to lower the mortgage when you move to the next property, even if it's a little less value. Depends on the lender, and there's a lot of things to discover there.
Right. So get your data. First is make for real that you want to make a move, and then get your data, because with the data, you're going to make a sound, solid information. And then the other step with the banker is whether you have a current mortgage or you don't, you want to determine if you can qualify. Because just because you have an existing mortgage doesn't mean you're going to qualify for a future mortgage.
Yeah.
That's a really important piece. And if that's confusing to you, then you know that the last step we're going to say you need to do is call for a clarity call anyway. So I'm going to say right now, if some of what we're saying, you're going, I don't fully understand what you're saying, pick up the phone or email us and we will have a clarity call with you. Very quickly, we can get to what data you need and what things you need to specifically be concerned about or thinking about.
Yeah, because interest rates have risen. And what you're saying is if you just renew your mortgage, let's say it's up for renewal this year, it kind of auto renews. They don't do a new credit check and everything, because as long as you've been paying regularly, everything's good. They just auto renew for you. And also make sure you want to check and see if they will negotiate that interest rate, because when they auto renew, usually it's at a higher rate than what they'll actually do it for. But secondly, if you're going
Catch
to
that tip though.
Yeah.
Like pick up the phone and get your rate, even on an auto renew, as low as it can be.
Yeah. Negotiate that.
Yeah.
And then if you are thinking of moving and you're going to need a new mortgage, then you're going to have to requalify at the new rates. And so it's important to get all that background stuff done before you start to go look at properties.
Well, yeah, because there is an order to this. There's no point in going looking at something if you can't have it anyway. So that's why a clarity call is where it starts. So you know what you really, well, first your pro cons, then a clarity call to figure out what your next logical step is.
Yeah. And if you don't have a house to sell, then as a buyer, your first step is look at how much down payment you have, where you can get that down payment, and then connect with a mortgage company and make sure you get pre-approved, not just pre-qualified, but pre-approved for a certain amount of mortgage so that you know what you can go out and look for.
Absolutely. So the bottom line is prepare and make sure that what you're feeling is the real deal, not just an illusion.
Yeah, because knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is. And we're grateful to be your partners on this journey towards wealth, wisdom, and worth.
Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward together with the Dekker Team.